Good afternoon. I'm George Latimer, Westchester County Executive, and welcome to our Westchester Weekly Update. It is Monday, August 8th, and I'm happy to be here with you. Ken Jenkins is out of Westchester this week. Next week, he will be the person handling the weekly update when I will not be in Westchester. So we're happy to be able to cover on a weekly basis throughout the summertime different issues that are happening around Westchester County. I'm going to be introducing in a few minutes our guest, municipal guest this week, who's the mayor of the village of Croton on Hudson, Brian Pugh, and he is going to be joined by some individuals that will tell us all about their upcoming Ecuadorian Festival, which is a great event coming up over the coming weekend. We're also going to touch on some Beeline bus transportation news. We're going to go over again the airport town halls that we have coming up in the early part of September. Heat advisory, as if you needed to be advised that we're in the middle of a heat wave. We'll give our health report update on COVID and monkeypox as it affects Westchester at this point, our recreational results over the weekend, and our continuing efforts for fighting inflation with some very good news that comes from United States Senator Chuck Schumer that just been announced. We'll begin, however, by touching on one of our communities, the village of Croton on Hudson. As you know, every one of these updates we try to have a representative from one of our many municipalities in Westchester. There are 45 of them that range in size from over 200,000 people in the city of Yonkers to 2,000 people in the village of Buchanan. And each of these different communities has a different personality, different set of activities and things that are of great interest to us. Today we're going to spotlight Croton on Hudson, which is located on the Hudson River side of the county in the northwestern portion of the county. It is the home for our Croton Point Park facility, which is an extensive county park, once a landfill and now a well-used recreational facility. It has one of our two public beaches in it and located right by the train station, so it gets a lot of different traffic from people coming both north and south on the Hudson line. Brian Pugh is the mayor and has been a terrific young man, terrific mayor of that village, so we're happy to invite him to the microphone so he can share a little bit about Croton on Hudson information and also introduce some people from the Ecuadorian Festival Committee that is preparing their activity. Mr. Mayor, please, the microphone is yours.
Thank you so much. Thank you again, Mr. County Executive. I would like to focus my remarks today on an area of critical partnership between the county and the village of Croton on Hudson, which is the issue of housing. In 2019, Westchester County issued a report. It's a housing needs assessment, and it found that in the village of Croton on Hudson, some 200 households were paying more than half their household income in rent. That's a truly shocking figure for a small community like ours, and other dire figures were also reported for other communities across the county. Obviously, as the mayor of Croton on Hudson, I'm focusing on what we can do in our village to address that challenge. So on that front, we have some very good news. Thanks to the support and partnership of the county, we have been awarded a grant of $3 million for the construction of a 33-unit affordable housing complex at 4151 Maple Street. That's going to be providing housing for people from all walks of life, young workers, families, and retirees. And again, that's 33 units. Now, I just mentioned that we have over 200 households that are paying more than half their income in rent. So this is really a down payment on addressing the housing crisis. It is not the beginning. It is merely the beginning. It is not the end. And that's why I'm also very excited about the partnership that the village has entered into with the Housing Action Council of Westchester to develop an affordable housing overlay district. This is also in partnership with the Land Use Law Center of Pace University, and all this expertise is coming to us free thanks to the underwriting of Westchester County. So it is thanks to this financial support, thanks to this technical support of Westchester County that we're able to meet this acute regional need and start making progress on this critical issue. Now, on a much lighter topic, I would like to draw attention to a very exciting event this weekend. Would my guests like to join me? Ramon, Jorge, Diana?
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, County Executive George Latimer. On behalf of the Comité Cívico Ecuatoriano Westchester and the president of here, Mr. Jorge Merchan, which is a nonprofit organization running over 34 years, we want to invite the community to become part of this Ecuadorian festival that's going to be taking place this Sunday, August 14, from 10 a.m. to 7 p.m. Come and enjoy live music of local artists and artists from Ecuador, food, music, local vendors. We've been doing this as part of our population. As we know, in Westchester County is a huge population of Ecuadorians, and we want to maintain the roots, the cultures of the Ecuadorians. So we invite everybody to come in and be part of this. We're going to have a volleyball tournament. We're going to have a mass starting from 10 a.m. So we want to thank you, Westchester County Executive, for helping us and supporting all these 23 years that we've been doing it there at the Croton Point Park. It is going to be a pleasure to have all of you on this day. Thank you.
Thank you.
Well, thank you very much to our friends from Croton on Hudson. And we want to highlight that this festival for the Ecuadorian community that's coming up this weekend at Croton Point Park is just one of our many ethnic festivals that we have over the course of the summer. Different organizations sponsor them. Many of them are held at Kensico Dam Plaza. We most recently had one that recognized the Arab American community and one that recognized the Indian American community, those from South Asia. We have upcoming Jewish Heritage Festival, Muslim Heritage Festival at Kensico Dam Plaza over the next few weekends as well. And we've already had those that reflect the Hispanic community, the African American community, the Irish community, the Italian community, the Polish community, the Albanian American community. So we embrace all of the many different cultures that make up Westchester County and make up the United States of America. We are a country that has welcomed people to come in and to make our country stronger, and we're very appreciative of having these kinds of ethnic festivals. And for our purposes now, the Ecuadorian Festival will give you a chance to hear music, enjoy food, watch dance, participate with vendors, and really have a terrific time. A great way to spend an afternoon. And so we encourage you to do that and visit the village of Croton on Hudson, which Mayor Pugh does such a great job, he and his team, in managing. For the issues that we have at hand, let me first begin with chatting a little bit about our Beeline bus system. First of all, you know that we have suspended fares on the Beeline bus system. That started June 1st. We are now past the second month into the third month of no cost on the various bus routes that we have around the county, and that will continue until Labor Day, which is just about a month from now, up to and including Monday, September 5th, I believe it is, and we hope you'll continue to use the system. It is a bit of a reintroduction to the system because we've had a drop-off in ridership due to COVID, and we're now seeing an increase in ridership. That is a very positive sign. We're also making it easier for Beeline bus customers to get up-to-the-minute information about bus arrivals. There are now 4 new app options for passengers to use in which you can access real-time information on your mobile device to determine what the progress is of the trip that you are seeking to have on one of our buses. This will give you information on a map on your phone for arrival time and even the ability to actually see on a map where the bus is on its route as it's approaching the station or the bus stop that you're planning to pick up the bus at. Those options include Google Maps, Apple Maps, Transit, and Move It, M-O-O-V-I-T. Those 4 options are there, and this will help keep you posted on the different routes that we have and exactly the progress of the bus systems on that. The apps are available for free at the Apple App Store and in Google Play. Desktop versions are also available for Google Maps. And this is an example of us trying very hard to move into the 21st century in communications. We launched a little earlier this year an app on your phone that will allow you to connect with the county police. So instead of trying to get a hotline phone number and reach somebody with a hardline phone, the app will give you the flexibility to get information directly without having to worry about the direct intercept of another person. So we think this is moving things forward, and we hope for our Beeline bus users, those who are regular users and those who are occasional users, that they'll find these apps of some benefit. If you have any other questions, you can reach out to us. Go online, westchestergov.com. Go to the Beeline bus information. Some of that will be self-explanatory. Some of it, if you feel you need the call, you can call our Department of Transportation. They'll give you some information as well. And we encourage you to get the app and use it, because that's part of how we want to communicate with you again in the 21st century. want to highlight that that communication also involves getting information from individuals about their suggestions on bus routes. We have a public dialogue process that's happening now. Once again, if you go online, westchestergov.com, look for the Beeline bus information as part of the different options, and you can submit information about any advice you have for us, any suggestions about our bus route system, what we can do to make it better. We're looking at making some changes, but we want to do that with public input. Public input is important to us as well as the other aspect of transportation that we're involved with, and that is the management of Westchester County Airport. We have conducted since late May a series of outreach sessions on the horizon where we are working on a new master plan for the airport. And in that master plan, we'll address issues that relate to the terminal, relate to the various fixed-based operators and general aviation at the airport, information about traffic and parking, and things that we can do to prevent and minimize any environmental impacts of the airport. Certainly noise has become a very big issue for many people who live in and around the airport or under a flight path. We have 2 more public sessions that are coming up. We've held 3 in person and 1 virtually already, but the next 2 are coming up. They're still about a month away, a little less than a month away. We have on Tuesday, September 6th at 6 p.m. at the Chappaqua Performing Arts Center, located at 480 Bedford Road in Chappaqua. Chappaqua is one of the communities that falls under the flight path. We've had a lot of people from that community in Pleasantville testifying about the noise and the impacts of the airport on their homes. We are having one of these sessions in Chappaqua at the request of the Newcastle Town Board, and this will certainly give an opportunity for everybody in Chappaqua to express their points of view. Now, the noise issue is a major issue. It is not the only issue, so we invite everyone to speak who wishes to be heard on any element of airport operations. But on Tuesday, September 6th, 6 p.m. in Chappaqua. A week later, on Tuesday, September 13th at 7 p.m., we're going to cross the border into Connecticut, although it's right on King Street, which serves both New York and Connecticut as a borderline. We will be at the Harvest Time Church at 1338 King Street. It's technically Greenwich, Connecticut, although it's easily accessible from the village of Rye Brook. The first selectman of the town of Greenwich, Fred Camillo, was kind enough to set this up in harmony with the Greenwich town government, and in it we hope to get residents from wherever, but particularly from the Connecticut side of the border, so they too can comment on the future of the airport. They are affected by the airport. The FAA is as interested in Connecticut residents as they are New York residents, and so we're holding this session on Tuesday, September 13th at 7 at Harvest Time Church in Greenwich, Connecticut. In both of those cases, we hope to continue the public dialogue. We expect to see a draft of the master plan sometime later in the fall, perhaps mid to late October. It will be circulated for public comment, some additional testimony. Ultimately, a plan will be delivered to the Board of Legislators for their review, ultimately their adoption after modification, and then when that has been locked into place, it becomes the new roadmap for what we hope to do at the airport over the next few years. We'll have to make projections about where we think passenger service will be and flight service and all those types of things. All of that is yet ahead. In other information, first of all, it does not take a brain surgeon to see that we are in the middle of a heat wave. We've had it now for the last couple of weeks. It continues. Our public health department issues a heat advisory. We expect to continue to have 90-degree weather plus over the course of these days. Humidity is high, temperatures rise, and the advice that you get is the same advice you got from your mom all those years ago when you were young. It applies today. Be very careful when you have strenuous activity. Make sure that you're well hydrated, drink plenty of water. Avoid alcohol products and caffeines. They will tend to dehydrate you rather than rehydrate you. And take precautions to prevent any heat-related illnesses. Pace yourself. I feel like I'm really talking to myself when I'm saying this. Pace yourself. Don't overdo it in the heat. If you spend a lot of time outdoors, take breaks inside an air-conditioned environment. Drink lots of water. During the heat wave, remember to always check on any neighbors that you have, particularly the elderly, to make sure that they're in good situation. And keep an eye on those who are most vulnerable to adverse effects from the heat. That would be very young people, seniors, people who are obese, those who have high blood pressure, heart disease, diabetes, lung conditions. All of those things make the heat wave even worse. And make sure if you are driving and you have pets in the car or babies in the car, that in a very short period of time, a locked car with windows rolled up can become a chamber for death for individuals and for animals. So be very careful when you are transporting children and animals in a car that a locked, heated car will overheat in a very short period of time. Be prudent. We'll get through this heat wave as we do every other one successfully, with all of us being healthy on the other end. On the health front, to give you an update on the two issues that we've been tracking, certainly COVID has been with us now almost 2.5 months in duration. We seem now over the last month or so to reach a point at which we are relatively stable in the degree of vaccinations, the degree of infections that we're facing. The most recent information we have is as of yesterday, Sunday, August 7th, we have 3,072 active cases of coronavirus, people who have tested positive for the disease but have not gone through the 10-day period of incubation and where the natural antibodies fight off the disease. 3,072 cases yesterday compares a week previously where we had 3,248 cases, so a slight decrease over the last week. If you go back 5 weeks ago to the 4th of July weekend, July 3rd would be the comparable date, we had 3,175 cases, so it's all very much in that range, slightly below 3,000 cases, slightly above 3,000 cases. That hasn't changed much. The number of people that are hospitalized, which is the more severe version of that larger cohort of people that have contracted the disease, at the last number that we have is 146 people hospitalized. Again, comparable to where we were in the last few weeks. A week ago, we were at 151 people hospitalized. That number's down a little bit, up a little bit from 5 weeks ago when we had 132 people hospitalized. In every one of these cases, we are less than 5% of all the people that have an active case of coronavirus have been required to be hospitalized to treat that disease, meaning 95% of the people that come down with coronavirus recover and do not require hospitalization to recover. The fatality numbers, 2,778 people have lost their lives to COVID since the beginning of the pandemic, which dates back to March of 2020, so we're almost at the 2.5-year mark. 2,778 individuals. We've lost over the last week 5 individuals. And over the course of the last month and a half, 2 months, we've lost about 20 individuals. And every one of those losses is a tragedy. The fatality affects the family, the loved ones, the people who know the individual, and the ones who work with them. But as a percentage of the total, we are less than 1% of all the people that have contracted COVID have suffered fatality because of COVID. And that does cluster in those with advanced age, those who have an underlying health disease of some sort, and those who are unvaccinated. Our vaccination rate in Westchester County, depending on 3 shots, 4 shots, whatever you are in your personal path for vaccination, we are over 85% vaccinated in Westchester County. That's a relatively high vaccination rate when compared to neighboring counties and more rural parts of the state and some of the urban parts of the state. And that level of vaccination has made us less likely to suffer severe illness, under 5% hospitalization, and death, under 1%. So we are living with COVID. We have had our ethnic festivals, such as the one coming up for the Ecuadorian community, some of the other ones we've had. We've had our pools and beaches open. We've had our recreational programs, and we have not tracked any particular spike of COVID cases related to those activities. It is the summer. We are outdoors. Then it's less likely that the disease will be impacted when you're in an outdoor setting than if you're in an indoor setting. So we generally watch numbers rise when the weather gets colder, and we tend to be inside more. But for right now, we seem to be at a relatively stable place. We are trying this summer to have more of a regular life and a regular year than we've had in the last 2 years. We've had our big prior to 4th of July Kensico Dam extravaganza with fireworks that went off without a hitch. We've been able to do, as I've mentioned, some of these ethnic festivals as well. So we're hopeful that we're reaching a point, absent a new variant, where we're managing the disease. No one can argue that we've defeated the disease. That would be an arrogance that isn't warranted. But we're trying to manage it. We've managed it without mandates. We've managed it without across-the-board concerns, and we're hopeful that we'll continue to see progress in that regard. On the monkeypox front, that issue's come up in the last 2 months. And very different diseases. COVID is an airborne disease, so you don't have to be in touching capacity with another person to get the disease. You can get it just in relatively close proximity. Monkeypox is a skin-to-skin contact transferal of the virus. It is a virus as well. We have in Westchester County, through the Department of Health, administered over 941 vaccines at our clinics, including the ones that we've done at the Loft. and the Loft is a prominent LGBTQAI plus organization here in Westchester County. They've helped us do consecutive Thursday vaccinations. We continue to provide vaccinations through the county health clinic here in downtown White Plains on Mondays and Wednesdays, and the Westchester Medical Center offers vaccinations 5 days a week from 9 to 5. They have 250 appointments over the course of those 5 days. You do need to call in advance to make an appointment. There are some available appointments as we're speaking today on Monday, later in this week for Thursday and Friday. It is a drive-up vaccination setting, so it makes it a little more efficient for you. So you can call Westchester Medical Center. They will give you that information for vaccinations there, and then also through the health department for any vaccinations that we are doing here. As of today's numbers, we have had 50 cases of monkeypox. None of them have been fatal situations, so we're hopeful that the disease will continue to have no fatalities. It can be a painful disease. It is not to be treated as trivial, but 50 cases of monkeypox versus 3,000 cases of COVID gives you a rough idea of the relative difference between them. And that is really because of how it's communicated. It's communicated skin to skin, many less cases, 50 cases, airborne, 3,000 cases, so it's a bit of a different case. But we're tracking both of them, and I want to thank Dr. Charlita Amler and the professionals that we have in our health department who've been on top of these things as we continue to go forward. There is testing for COVID that you're well aware of. You don't know if you have COVID. You test to find out if you are exposed, and then you isolate. Monkeypox is a little bit different. They have to put a swab on a lesion, something that would show on your hand, a rash, or your arm, wherever it might show on your body. They would test that to determine if you had monkeypox, and that would determine that you had it. However, if you can get a vaccination for it, it can cure the monkeypox. It's not just it lessens the impact as COVID does. So if you believe that you may be exposed to monkeypox, call the county health department, and then they can take you through the protocol. Or go to your healthcare provider. If you have a medical doctor that you normally consult with, call your medical doctor. Start with that. If you use a local neighborhood health center, contact those individuals and then follow through accordingly so that you can get the treatment that you need. Monkeypox is a fairly rare vaccination, a rare viral infection, and it is something that we have not seen over the period of time. It is nothing to get unduly alarmed about. It is serious, but we have a game plan to be able to work with individuals. If you track it, that you have it, and you find out about it, you get vaccinated for it, help clear it up before any major problems occur. Back on the COVID front, we continue to provide vaccinations for COVID. Now, you can get vaccinations a lot of places. Local pharmacies have them, local medical practices do, hospitals do as well, but we continue to provide it on Fridays at our White Plains Health Clinic from 9 a.m. to 12 noon for those that are ages 6 months to 5 years of age. It has been authorized for children under the age of 5, as young as 6 months. They can get a COVID vaccination, and that is still available to them. And that's at our clinic at 134 Court Street in downtown White Plains, just right around the corner from where we are now between Pauropus and Post Road. The Moderna vaccine is also given to all individuals that want a vaccination, not just those who are young, and that is also on Fridays from 1 to 3 in the afternoon. You can get a COVID vaccination. If you haven't had a shot yet, by all means, you're eligible to do it. If you have your third shot, you need a fourth shot. All of that is possible through the health clinic. If you can't secure COVID vaccinations through your local medical doctor, through your local pharmacy, or some of the other places that they're made available. And testing kits, of course, are now plentifully available for in-home testing. When we report our COVID numbers, we do not have numbers that reflect in-home testing. When you do an in-home test, you're not required to report that to the state, and the state is not required to put that in the numbers that they make available to us to make available to you. So we know that there are many more tests that are going on because of the in-home tests. There may well be more cases of COVID that people know. They've come down with it, they isolate, they work it through their system, and hopefully that gets us through all of this in the days to come. Any questions about COVID, go to our website. There's an icon you can click on and find out more about COVID. By now, after 2.5 years, I would think everybody would consider themselves an expert on COVID, and we hope that we can put this behind us in due time. Moving from our health situation to the issue of crime, it's very much an item of conversation in the community, a fear in the rise of crime. We've made the point of tracking statistics in Westchester County over the last couple of years now. We've compared over the last 4 years, 21 to 17, and now the first couple of quarters of 2022. And crime in Westchester County is down over what it has been over the last 4 years. That is both violent crime and crimes against property. There are some spikes that you'll see from time to time. There have been some spikes in motor vehicle thefts, which is a property-related crime. Most people thinking crime in terms of violent crime, crimes to persons, whether it's aggravated assault, somebody mugs you, to use the common phrase that we use to describe that. Certainly murder, rape are the most serious and heinous of the violent crimes. Violent crimes in Westchester are down. In fact, this past weekend we've had no shootings in Westchester, no murders. It is not that we never have those things happen. They happen in Westchester. They happen everywhere. But when you turn on TV, you'll hear about incidences that are happening in other places, and it might lead you to think that these things are happening everywhere all the time and in every possible setting. That would not be true. We've had a couple of incidents happen over the summer in a couple of our different communities. The vast majority of Westchester communities have avoided any of the violent crime, any street crime of that nature, and we credit our police, community policing work, local community organizations that work and harness with the neighbors of the area to try to identify situations, the work that gets done in a number of our departments, corrections department, probations department, to try to deal with potential recidivism of those individuals who have been convicted of crimes and are now back out having served their debt to society. And we're hopeful that we'll continue to get through the rest of the summer with a relatively low crime, as close to crime-free as we can get summertime. But it should give you some comfort and some confidence that we're seeing just a lot less of this happening in Westchester County. And the important thing is that you're able to go out and live your life, to go out and be in public settings, whether you're going out with friends, whether you're going out to go to a restaurant or go to a community activity or organization event, or whether you're shopping, that Westchester is continuing to show that we are a safe place to live in, to work in, and to play in. Speaking about playing, we continue to track each weekend the tremendous use of our park system. We have an extensive park system in Westchester County. We just mentioned Croton Point Park, which is going to be the home for this Ecuadorian festival, and that is one of our 2 public beaches there. And they have a lot of other features throughout Westchester's park systems. We are continuing to see a tremendous rise in the use of our pools and our 2 beaches. As you would expect, the hotter the weather, the more people go to cool off. And we've had a Tibbetts Pool in Yonkers, Sprain Ridge Pool in Yonkers, and Saxon Woods Pool in White Plains. Big jumps from this year to last year in terms of attendance, both in the weekly totals this week over last year, and then in the aggregate year-to-date totals. Wilson Woods Pool in Mount Vernon has a particular situation where the main water feature there, the wave pool, is out of commission for the 2022 season. It was discovered to have some problems when we first started to fill it before the beginning of the season and the end of June, and unfortunately we've had to take it out of commission. There are a couple of other features at Wilson Woods that involve water, an aqua playground, a spray ground, a lazy river ride. So we still have individuals that are going to Wilson Woods, and it's fairly flat this year to last year, which is actually an improvement given the fact you don't have the wave pool. Aggregate to the year a little bit down. But we've made all of our pools and our beaches free from Monday to Thursday. So from Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, when you go to Glen Island Beach or any of the pools, it does not cost you anything to get in. That is a savings to you, the individual. It's part of what we're trying to do to deal with the economic issues we're dealing with, but also to make this recreational facilities more available to those who, frankly, have less resources to work with. And whether that's seniors or those who are more indigent, we think it's a great opportunity. Now, it's not free to play our golf courses, and the golf courses have had a record number of rounds over the last 3 years, 2020, 2021, 2022. We have 6 public golf courses. 2 of them are in Yonkers, 2 of them in northern Westchester, 2 of them on the Sound Shore, and all of them have tremendous numbers of rounds of golf. I think we're almost maxed out. From the beginning in the morning where guys tee off, just past sunrise, to when they close out the last hole just about sunset. We've had a tremendous response to all of our golf courses. They are in good shape. I see some of them. I'm not a golfer myself, but I go to look to see the physical quality. Are we holding up with this amount of usage? And the answer would be yes. Our professionals in the Recreation Department are doing a good job of making that available. So our beaches, our pools, our golf courses all functioning. We have 6 nature centers around the county. Obviously, we don't track the number of people that come in just to take a beautiful walk in the woods. We don't track the number of people that use our various bike paths. We have a North County Trailway, we have South County Trailway, we have the Bronx River reservation. Those are all fairly long in duration. We have a much smaller pathway alongside Playland Parkway, not quite a mile in duration. Our Bicycle Sunday program is not up in the month of August. So last weekend was the first weekend that we do not have Bicycle Sunday on the Bronx River Parkway. They will resume in September, the week after Labor Day. And they will continue through the rest of September and October. So August we take off, sort of considering the fact that so many people are on vacation in the month of August. We usually have less of a turnout as well. But our recreation programs are really in full force. I mentioned recreation, and it ties into the efforts we're making to try to deal with the cost of living that's gone up through inflation. We're very happy to note the work that's been done by the federal government. The United States Senate, under the leadership of our Senator Chuck Schumer, has done a really terrific job. They've recently passed some legislation. We believe that's going to benefit Westchester residents both in the short term and in the long term. It's going to fight inflation. It's going to lower drug prices. It's going to address some climate change issues. We want to thank Senator Chuck Schumer for his leadership, and Senator Kirsten Gillibrand, who's a member of the United States Senate, the members of the House delegation who voted for these things, and we think that's an important step. Within Westchester County, we have done certain actions, and we're still continuing to look for other ways that we can help deal with the financial impact. We've always mentioned that the last 3 years we've cut county property taxes. It's a smaller portion of your tax bill. Larger portion is paid by local school districts, but we've cut the county property taxes the last 3 years. That is a step in the right direction. I've mentioned already that we have free buses. That started June 1st, continues to September 5th. We think that's helpful. And the free access to pools Monday through Thursday, not free on the weekends where we have tremendous demand, but through Monday through Thursday it's free. We think that's helpful. We've made 2 of our Metro North parking lots that the county owns, one adjacent to the White Plains train station, one adjacent to the North White Plains train station. Those parking lots are free for the month of July, free for the month of August. You can commute to the city, park there, and not pay anything to park, and that's a savings for you. We've mentioned that we've allocated an additional $700,000 for Feeding Westchester so they can distribute more food to the various food pantries around the county. And we know that many people who are feeling the pinch in their wallets find that that is true for putting food on the table. And to the extent that people can go to some of the food pantries, pick up some necessary items, reduce the food bill that they have to buy for, that's helpful. And we think the county is doing that in a productive way. We think the savings could be as much as $60 per family in that regard. We capped our gas tax, the sales tax on our gasoline products. We did this with the state authorizing a program that each county could plug into. We plugged into it, froze any increase in the at the pump rate above $3 a gallon. You've seen that the prices have come down in the last month and a half or so, down at least roughly 50 cents a gallon. A portion of that is because of the state and the county's rescission of sales tax. We believe that's helpful. There's also things that are happening in the commodity price of oil and the refining process that have helped those prices come down. They could come down a lot more if some of the major oil companies would cooperate, but that's a federal issue, not a county issue. We'll leave that to other decision makers. But that has been part of our plan as well. And now we've just gotten approval with the County Board of Legislators to eliminate the county portion of sales tax on any home heating oils, any of the different fuels, oil, gas, electric, and so forth, beginning the 1st of December for the quarter that ends at the end of February 28th next year. And that is an important savings. By releasing the sales tax on it, that could save a family $40 per month in round numbers in the total cost of their heating their home in the wintertime. That's also a state program that allows us to plug into it. It made no sense for us to plug into it for this quarter because no one's buying heating to keep their homes heated with this heat wave. They're properly heated already by Mother Nature. But this program put before the Board of Legislators, they've approved it unanimously. We're happy to see it go forward. And we think that that's also going to be a way to save you a few bucks. And then finally, we have suspended the cost of civil service examinations through the end of the year. If you want to apply for a job, it requires a civil service exam, whether it's a municipal job, something at the county, any place. It usually costs money for you, probably in the vicinity of about $100 to sit for one of those exams. And now that fee has been waived. So that is also another thing that we're doing that will hopefully save you some money. We hope these things help. They are not necessarily the main event of economics for each family, but they show that the county government does understand that we're in a difficult economic time and we have to respond at some level. And we hopefully will look for additional ways to try to provide that assistance. I want to close out our report by highlighting that we're coming very close to a very unusual event, which is a primary election that falls in the month of August. This is a first time in New York State history. It was mandated by court action, which required that primaries for congressional races and New York State Senate races be held in August. Whether we like it or don't like it, I happen to think it's a terrible time to have a primary. This is what was imposed by the court. And on Tuesday, August 23rd, we will have a primary. I'll cover which races will occur on that date. However, the important thing to note is that there is early voting for this primary, as there is for other primaries and general elections. And as we're having this conversation on Monday, August 8th, early voting begins this Saturday, on Saturday, August 13th. It will continue for 9 consecutive days from that day up until the Sunday, the 21st of August. There'll be no early voting on Monday, the 22nd, and then normal voting on the primary day, which is Tuesday, August 23rd, at your local polling places from 6 a.m. to 9 p.m. Now, that Tuesday voting in person, you can do that as you normally see fit, or you can look at your schedule and determine you may be out of town, you might be on vacation, you might have some other reason to not be available on the 23rd. That is what early voting gives you an option. It gives you multiple number of days. If we have a graphic, you're looking at different times during the week, Saturdays and Sundays in 2 consecutive weeks, Monday through Friday of the intervening week. Some nights, Tuesday and Thursday nights, the early voting sites stay open to 8 o'clock, and in other ones they open in the morning at an earlier hour on Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays. Keep in mind there are a limited number of early voting sites around the county. Look for the one that is closest to where you live or closest to where you work. You can vote at any one of these sites. I live in the Sound Shore section of Westchester County, but if I happen to be in Yonkers or I happen to be in the northern part of the county, I am eligible to vote at that location. They will be able to determine that I am properly registered at a location, and they will print out a ballot that's appropriate to my location and my party affiliation. So you do not have to just vote at the early voting site that is nearest where you live. You can vote at any one of the sites around the county. There are 20-some-odd sites for you to look at. So this gives you flexibility. And in terms of convenience, there shouldn't be any reason why it's inconvenient for you to vote. Voting involves some other decisions that you have to make, but in terms of convenience, early voting, which just came into effect a couple of years ago, is in effect for this primary on August 23rd. Now we'll go over the different primaries that exist. There are 5 primaries altogether. You must be, a New York State law, a registered member of the political party that is having the primary. We do not have primaries in which a person from Party A can vote in Primary B. There are some provisions this year that make that a little bit different, but rather than try to give you the exceptions to the rule, when you go to vote, you can explain it either at the early voting site or at your local district precinct, and then you can talk about the nuances and what exceptions might exist. But for right now, if you are a member of the Conservative Party, registered member of the Conservative Party, and you live in the northern half of Westchester County, you live in Congressional District 17. And that borderline is roughly 287, and the communities north of 287. So North Castle, Newcastle, Ossining, Mount Pleasant, and all of the communities north of that up to Peekskill, Cortland, Yorktown, Somers, North Salem, and then in between there's Bedford, there's Lewisboro, I know I missed a few, Mount Kisco. But in District 17, if you're a registered member of the Conservative Party, you will vote in a congressional primary. The 2 candidates are William Faulkner and Michael Lawler. Those are the 2 candidates if you're a registered conservative. If you are a registered Republican in Congressional District 17, you have a choice of 5 individuals. The 2 I've mentioned are also on the ballot in the Republican primary, William Faulkner and Mike Lawler. In addition, in the Republican primary, there's Charles Falsiglia, Jack Schreppel, and Shoshana David that are also going to be on the ballot. So you have a choice of any one of those 5 individuals if you're a Republican in Congressional District 17. As a conservative, you have 2 names in that primary. The Democratic registrants in Congressional District 17 have a choice between Sean Patrick Maloney, currently the incumbent congressman, and Alessandra Biaggi, currently a state senator. and those two are competing for Congressional District 17, the Democratic nomination. So there's a Democratic primary, Republican primary, and Conservative primary. That's 3 of the 5 primaries within Congressional District 17. Congressional District 16 is the southern half of Westchester County, everything, roughly speaking, at 287 and south. That is the bulk of the town of Greenburgh, the city of White Plains, the town of Harrison, Rye Town, including Rybrook and Portchester villages, Rye City, Larchmont, Mamaroneck, New Rochelle, the Sound Shore area, Mount Vernon, Scarsdale, Eastchester. I know I sound like a Metro North conductor. I'm also showing off that I know the municipalities of this county. Bronxville, Tuckahoe, the city of Yonkers in its entirety, Greenburgh and the river towns, all part of CD 16. There are 3 candidates on the line in the Democratic primary, the incumbent Jamal Bowman, Vedat Gashi, who is a Westchester County legislator, Catherine Parker, who's a Westchester County legislator. Also on the ballot is Mark Jaffe. He has suspended his campaign, I understand, but his name will still be on the ballot. And then the final primary, the 5th primary that is available for those, these are just for residents in the town of Pelham and for the southern half of the city of New Rochelle. They are in State Senate District 34. That is an open seat. There are 3 people competing in that race: Natalia Fernandez, who is an assemblywoman, Christian Amato, and John Perez are on that ballot. And that district includes New Rochelle, South End, all of Pelham, and a large swath of the Bronx. And together, they will represent, they will select the Democratic nominee for state senate in the 34th district. So those are the 5 races. You can read more about it. You can go online, read your local newspaper, or watch your local television stations, and they'll give you more details on all of those. Early voting begins this Saturday, August 13th. It ends on Sunday, August 21st. Election day is Tuesday, August 23rd. When Election Day is completed on the 23rd, we will have completed the primary process in the state of New York, and then we will have candidates in the major political parties for those elections that have been on the ballot, and then there'll be discussion, most likely post-Labor Day, that will cover that. For our purposes, this is a governmental explanation so that you know that early voting is out there, and there's certainly other places that you can go for studying the candidates and their records and determining who you choose to vote for. So that really summarizes our report. We're happy to try to cover a group of issues and policies. If there's anyone from the press that have any questions, we're happy to try to address any of them. We have none with us for this conversation. But if you are interested in reaching out to us, you can call our communications department here at 995-2900, and you can speak to Joe Scamato, to Carolyn Fortino, to Lisa Reyes, any of our colleagues here. John Boyce does a great job technically for us, and Chelsea Pagano in our communications department, and they will be happy to get some information. I'll be happy to answer the questions if they're germane to county government. If they're germane to Croton on Hudson, we'll make sure that Mayor Pugh gets the information, and we hope you'll be at the Ecuadorian Festival coming up this weekend. So without any further ado, we appreciate your patience. We will be back next Monday with our next update at 2 p.m. Ken Jenkins will be responsible for that update, so we'll keep the podium nice and clear for him as he'll give you next week's report. And then also this week we'll be announcing some other different things, so we'll be back in contact with you in other contexts and other issues. I'm George Latimer, Westchester County Executive. Thank you for watching. Stay safe, stay cool in this hot weather, and we'll see you soon.